Hey everybody, it's Mr. Delusive with the weekly Devblog. Today I'm going through what I've done again. So a lot I've done is pretty much fix a lot of the bugs, well, minor issues. I would say they're not really bugs, but yeah, minor issues that were all around the game, like the ship alignment. I think I did this week. So what was happening when you change resolutions and you go to new game, this ship wouldn't align if you've seen the previous videos, and it would only do it if this section wasn't loaded before you went into options and changed the resolution. So that's fixed now anyway. So it was just stuff like that, and I made a few more ships and finished the big boss. And yeah, so I'll go into and show off the big boss and some of the warp minor changes again. And then I've got 2 books now because I finished my first one back at London. So we'll walk back to Deluge 1. I'll show off the song alignment, and I think I found what makes the music turn off. So we'll hear. Put it down a bit. Yeah. Now I've adjusted the all the sounds so that, like, when you have, like this case, there's 6 of the same, it's quieter. So it's still adjusting the levels a bit there, but for the most part they're done. You can enjoy Nico's music. So if you notice there in the warp, the ship's position stayed the same. So after the screen transitioned, the ship didn't snap back to the midpoint. It's now remaining to make it look like it transitions. Put this up so I won't talk for a minute. And this will do this automatically once you go into the next screen. So as you heard there, the music aligns a bit better. So I just adjusted the sounds in the warp field and the length in the warp field, and that was it. So now the Megaboss, which is what I spent most of the time on, it's getting that right. And it still isn't finished, but most of the core stuff for it is done. And there was a bit of bugs when killing it. I found I wasn't handling some of the sounds properly, so as I was adjusting with the sounds I fixed that as well. And I'm gonna, with the boss, so when that comes in the music will change as well, probably to the song I'm gonna use in the trailer too. And I adjusted the background speeds of the planets so it looks a bit more in balance, I think. So other things I did was like, yeah, that ship align, there was like the rebind was, yeah, on the main menu it was letting you rebind when the binding screen wasn't up, so you fix that. What else? Add delay to close new item. So, oh yeah, so when in other videos you might have seen when I'm mounting a gun, when I click close that pop up and there was a mount point at the same position that the mouse was, it would open a new one straight away. So it just wasn't adding the delay properly, so that was another thing. Pop up didn't go below. So there's the sounds, there's its 6 guns. Now you don't collide with the boss anymore, but it's got these, so it's got a core which has collision, and it's got the guns. That was a bit quicker because I'm using strong ship even though they're pretty weak guns. So yeah, like at the moment I just have the core getting destroyed, but what's going to happen is the core will blow and the white kind of screen explosion thing that you see on the hyper warp gate, the same will happen, and then this big uncollidable ship will be disappeared, and then you can dock. So it's got distance until warp active here, but for this dock button triggers on the core getting destroyed, so then you can dock. And there were a few bugs with that and I couldn't figure it out. It was actually to do with the sound. So what was happening was when I was disposing of the sounds while they were playing, yeah, when there was like machine gun sounds, they'd go for a while on the enemies, and when I was disposing, if they were playing, I don't think it was handling it properly and it crashed. So now what I do is stop the sounds and then dispose of them and then change screens. But it does some weird things. Like the first time I fixed it, it actually worked, but then all the sounds were playing, like a few sounds triggered after. So you get to this screen and then you hear like, I don't know, a machine gun go off and then another few things, but yeah. So I don't know why I did that, but yeah. Another thing I have to do this week is that text alignment. I'm going to finish those, the Megaboss thing, so next week I should have it completely showed off. Yeah, the volumes are adjusted, and I've been thinking about how the ship's classes are, so I'll just make a new one for this. Or actually I'll just use microwave or something. Another minor thing is I won't be able to show it off really. Actually, yeah, I will. I'll show that off in a minute. But so if you go to ship hangar, we've got, and I'll when I'm doing these text adjustments, I'll fix this all up. But I figured the classes will be, there's fighters, and then the next class up is the frigates, and then cruisers, and then battleships. And those big bosses, they're dreadnought class ships. So they're the 5 class types that the ships can be. So like the fighters will usually have 2 or 3 mount points. We have the loyalty, which is one of the first frigates, and they're usually like 3-4 mount points. And then you've got cruisers. So the Kairos is a battleship with, 10 mount points. So they're all the fighters, and then Conda is a frigate. The Gunner and the Hydra are cruisers. Actually, no, the Hydra is a frigate. The Gunner is a cruiser, and the same with the Hellraiser. I don't know if I showed this one off last week, but this was one of the new ships. Kind of tried to make it look like a skull here and a minigun. I was kind of listening to the Doom soundtrack as I made that ship. And then yeah, more fighters. This one's a frigate. Actually, no, the Hellion's a fighter. Incinerator is a frigate. So yeah, like that's I was thinking about that, which kind of makes, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference, I guess, in the game, but just for description wise. Now the other thing, the last thing I think, yeah, so I'll just launch. We'll go to Delusia 2. And another thing I was going to do, because the game is sitting around 60 gig, and it's mainly because of these planets. So what I was thinking to do, I didn't show it off. So what I was thinking to do was just lower them, these planet image sizes, because yeah, I think I'll be able to lower it without losing too much of the graphics. Because in this screen, I think I'm reducing the images by 60% anyway, just size-wise. So if I reduce the image size by 60% and then bring in the game no reduction, then it should look hopefully the same in these screens, and less, I guess. I don't know, I've noticed when you reduce size in game, it kind of looks weird. But if I tab out, yeah, it's still doing it. So I thought I fixed this because this is the actual sprite sheet effect here, and what it does is when it loads the image, it loads it like that, then applies the sprite sheet effect, which is what gives it its animation. But what I thought I fixed was I didn't want it to draw the image until after the first update tick, but so this shouldn't have appeared. So that's what I was trying to fix as well. That's not fixed. So yeah, if you haven't seen the sprite sheet effect, that's it. That's pretty much what I use for all the ships. I think there's only the Claw which doesn't have sprite sheet effect because it doesn't have an engine, like an engine effect, and that was the only reason I'm doing the sprite sheet, because I think it's a bit harder to see. But if you look at I can't point to it without the ship. If I point to it here, so if you see that, they're kind of flickering like a flame would, and that's, yeah, because of the sprite sheet effect. We changed the backgrounds as well for the Delusia fast-paced areas, and that was it. So yeah, it was just going through a lot of things and fixing them, and yeah, slowly adding more. So I'm pretty much done a lot of the stuff fixed that I wanted to do. So obviously there's still a few things like that sprite sheet effect appearing on the first frame, and yeah, the music, trying to find out why it's not triggering, which I think I know why now. So hopefully fix them. And yeah, keep adding more of the stuff. So you guys, that's all for this week. Hope to see you next week.